Dear Shirley Hughes, I have loved all your books that I have ever bought, but Alfie ones are my best. I like them because they are funny and nice to read. I'm going to write a book review about Docuseries, which I can read to other children to encourage them to read your book. Oh, good. I write half on the bed and half on the table. Where do you? I love them in big letters. Please write more. I pride myself most on the letters I get saying we liked your books. Or, you know, I remember Dogger when I was a little girl and now I'm reading it to my kids. That's lovely, because of course I've gone through a whole generation. Dogger was a one-off story, of course, about the terrible moment when Dogger is lost at bedtime. I don't use real models for my children in my books, but I do use real models from toys. And Dogger is very old. I mean, he is an absolute icon, Dogger. I mean, he's been on show in museums. He's retired now. He's sick of the celebrity circuit. He's just lives quietly in this box. But as you see, he belonged to my eldest son. He was given by, when he was about 3. And when he first arrived, his ears were correct like that. But he was slept, and of course as one does, pressed against. So this ear got forced upwards, and there it is. There's Dogger. Well, my working day begins. I get up, do a few exercises, have some breakfast, and then I go upstairs to my workroom to get ready for the day's work. So, starting off at the drawing board, it's a moment I always look forward to. Get my drawing apron on. And I use gouache colour. It's got quite a lot of body in it. It's in so fragile as watercolour. This is quite fun, squeezing out, you know. The moment of promise, really, when you think this is going to be the colour for the day, you know, hooray. So it's a lot of fun. It's very tactile, this, you know. And then I'm ready to start. This is an Alfie book, of course, which I'm working on. I do, you know, there are many Alfie books out there. What I'm doing is translating a rough into the finished artwork. And I think one of the great challenges is to get that freedom of the rough, which you've done at great speed, in a high state of excitement. And here, of course, I'm slowing down and I've got to do this very meticulously. This is the very last illustration of a book I'm just finishing. And it's all about Alfie and Dad. They have a very close relationship. And this one is about a little lost cat and how they take in this little lost cat and their cat, Jessie, gets very jealous and cross. It's all about him and Dad and how they resolve the situation. If you have a character that everybody knows already, it's a great help. And Alfie, he'd be, 24 years old now, if he was in real time. But of course, he's still a perennial preschooler, up against the terrible battles, that very serious things that they have to battle with, which mean a lot, like getting your shoes on the right feet, going to a birthday party without your security blanket, all that kind of thing. It's very important for a small child. I'm checking the colour of his sweater, and the fact he's got a check collar. I've got to remember that when you keep repeating it. You see, we've got to have continuity. It's like a little play. You can't come on in a different costume. Here's the cat, Chessie, looking very, very upset. Done with paint. All the skill of the storytelling is in the drawing, and I was taught to draw. I did a lot of life drawing in my time. Thank God. We know the way our hand works, you know the way little fingers, and the source of everything is keeping a sketchbook. The text says, "I think Dilys is a much better name than Tibble," said Alfie. "I wonder if she'll ever come back and visit us again." But she never did. I get a lot of inspiration, of course, from things that happened in my own family at that age. We did have a Dilys who went, she was terrible. She kept disappearing and hearts were broken, and then she'd turn up again. And she got 2 people on the go. She got 2 homes on the go. That's where this story came from, actually. I always end with a picture, and I will have the final bit of text will be up there, a little bit of conversation just at above there. Right, I think I'm going to have a breather now. It's a lovely light today. Marvellous. We came here in 1954, I think it was. We moved here when my eldest son was a baby, tiny baby. And my other 2 children were born while we were here, and they've been here ever since. It's a lovely place to work. Very quiet, you see. Been terribly happy here, you know, all the time. John and I, while John was alive, and now here, you know, I'd hate to go anywhere else. Hate to go anywhere else. I love it here. Hope here till I pop my clogs. I knew that my own books were going to be rooted in reality, because I had this feel for drawing young children, I suppose. Alfie has a mum and a dad and a little baby sister who's only just beginning to walk and talk, Annie Rose, and he's a perfectly ordinary family. He's got a best friend, Bernard, who's pretty cool, really. Somebody once said to me, of course, when they're 16, Bernard's going to get the girl. Poor Alfie will be a bit more. This is about the moment when Alfie gives the door a big slam, just like that. "Open the door, Alfie," said Mum. Alfie didn't know how to open the door. He couldn't reach the catch. A lot of the time you're trying to pretend that that gutter, where the sewing is down the middle, isn't there. You flow across it. But in this case, I used it as part of the story. Of course, I was thinking of the old silent movie trick, you know, where they had a split screen, and with those Marx Brothers films and everything, you know, you could see one person on the inside and the other person outside. I mean, a book is a wonderful piece of technology. Absolutely superb. I mean, you can do anything with it. And even the tiniest child knows that this is outside here and he's inside. And all I had to do was draw that line there. They could look at pictures long before they learn to read. And that's what's so nice about being an illustrator. The thing about a picture book, of course, is it is a little theatre, except you've got complete control over everything. So you're the lighting, costume designer, stage director, the lot. I want children to learn how to look, how to linger over a picture and not rush through, flicking from page to page. They have a lot to cope with in terms of having to be quick reactors. And I think the enjoyment of art is something that you enjoy just by looking carefully and looking as long as you like. One of my great heroes was Arthur Rackham. He was one of the classic illustrators from another era, of course. And I really pored over these. These were colour plates, you know, they had a text, and then you turn this tissue paper, and there was this lovely colour plate. Wonderful illustrator he was, very classic. I mean, there's Peter Pan, he's flown off out of the window and he's gone into Kensington Gardens and having a conversation with a crow sitting in a tree. And there's some mice down below. Complete contrast would be Edmund Dulac, fairy tales, Cinderella. Look at that, beautiful illustration. You read the text and then you came to this wonderful moment, you've got the colour plate. So there's a lot to look at. I mean, you're looking at the main scene and you're also looking at all these people aghast in the background. I used to try and learn something from them. A tremendous influence on me, of course, were comics. We had very nice little comics, you know, Tiger Tim and the Bruin Boys and all that. And then suddenly the moment came when I was in the Second World War and the GIs arrived in Liverpool. With them came the American comics. And of course these were for adults. I was in my late teens, really starting to look at art. It's an amazingly funny, but look at that. I mean, just one picture with this little silhouette of the city below and there's somebody floating off in a bathtub, then whoosh, they're all coming out and woke up in bed. It's a dream, of course. Well, they were such good artists, full of ideas. You learn about line, but most of all you learn about telling a story, which is what I'm doing, in a different sort of way. Of course, the whole emphasis in this picture is that Alfie's legs are too short. His legs are just dangling because his little legs don't reach the ground there. Dad's got to look very relaxed. Oh, we've got his mug. Oh, we have the old trad. Blue and white stripes, I think. So we've got a bit of a glow on a bit of shine on the mug. So there's Dad's cuppa. Of course, all the interest of the story, and a lot of the story is told, particularly to the non-reader, is in the expression on the faces. Their faces have got to express